It's Saturday morning in Indianapolis, Indiana, and Saturday morning, if you're a farmer, most likely means it's farmer's market day. That's what this video is all about. It's a day in the life of what's it like to work a farmer's market, from setup to cleanup and working it. Stay tuned to find out coming up in this one. First step of the loading process is to get everything out of Darby's barn, which is right back here, and get it into the back of his truck. Then after the truck, we'll end up putting it in his wife's car. Then next step after that will be put the meat into coolers, which we'll leave in the cooler, the freezer itself, for tomorrow. First step, get it in here. Truck is now loaded. Next step, get the meat from the freezer into coolers, which will stay in the freezer.
So what I'm grabbing here is some chicken breast. I'm actually putting extra chicken breast in my cooler this week because I'm out of leg quarters. We ran out last weekend, so we're going to be without those for 1 week. So kind of filling this up here. I've also got a little bit of ground chicken in here that we had made earlier in the year. We had some really big birds that we were concerned might be a little bit tough, so we had those turn into ground chicken. And I've got chicken wings in this cooler that I've already put in here. Like I said, I'm going to kind of fill this dude up with chicken breasts and some out of leg quarters. We also use these called Thermofreeze. Get these off Amazon. They work really well. They come in a sheet, and you can cut these to length and to width. We find that one sheet of these we can cover 2 coolers. We stuff that down in there. And in this cooler here, I've already filled it with whole chickens, like these here. And some chicken liver. Finally, out of the 8-degree freezer, all packed up. The coolers are ready to go for the morning. Back out here in the 60-degree temperature where it's nice. It's chilly in there. Next step will be eat dinner and then wake up bright and early tomorrow morning for the market. That'll be the next phase of this video. That's coming up right after this. What began as a day where we woke up at about 5:30 a.m., left Darby's farm at 6:30 a.m., took an hour drive to get here, got here at 7:30. It's now about 7:45. Market opens in 15 minutes. Pretty quick setup, set up everything in 15 minutes. Loading up this morning, pretty quick and fast, because the only thing Darby had to do is put the coolers out of the walk-in cooler into his truck. Everything was pre-loaded yesterday, so that saved some time. So a day effectively started today at 6:30, but we had about half an hour of work into it yesterday, so let's call this a 6 a.m. day start time. And now we're going to begin selling in 13 minutes. Yeah, so I'm just cleaning off our board here. We ran a little bit of a sale last weekend because it was Labor Day. So this is a marker board, technically I guess dry erase. It's black, and we've got some fluorescent markers we'll use to, I don't know what we'll write on here yet, honestly, haven't decided. Go through and update my signs. We're about out of beef, so pretty much everything's blacked out on there. That's how we communicate what we have and what we don't have. We just black out the price. Instead of having to write everything every week, just laminate these pricing sheets. So these are the markers we use. This is one little thing I want to point out. These things were like 23, 25 bucks.
and asked me if I care. They're super bright, super vivid. They really draw people in, so don't be afraid to spend money to set yourself apart at the market. You know, that little chalkboard thing wasn't cheap, but it works really well. So just be thinking about that. Don't go too cheap here. I mean, you got to stand out.
8 a.m. the market is now just starting. Darby's booth is all set up and he's prepared. Some early bird arrivals coming in. A lot of the other vendors are set up and some are still setting up at this point, but not too crowded. Darby is thinking it's going to be slow for the first hour, but nonetheless, we're ready to go. Stands open for business. We'll see how today goes. One thing I actually scored here, which I don't see in California very much, a whole bag of apples. There's like 10 different cultivars of apples in here. Jonah Gold, Ginger Sweet, 2 different varieties of Fuji. It's a nice find. This is stuff I haven't seen since I lived in New York. Like I said, we don't get it in California, so I'll be eating while I'm filming.
It's about 1 1/3 pounds, is that okay?
Sure, that'd be great.
Need a bag this morning?
No, I've got my baskets. Let's see. I don't know. I think a pound of chorizo as well.
All right.
There it is, first sale of the day, 60 bucks. So far so good. 8.10.
Yeah, so what I did, I just highlighted a couple of things up here. Since it's getting kind of cooler out, what we see is that people like to cook with larger cuts of meat. So if you remember in the freezer, I packed up some extra whole birds and some extra pork shoulder roast. I'm kind of highlighting those up there, but then down here, I'm just hitting a few things, kind of a smattering of what's available. I kind of like to make these little things to break things up. Helps people read a bit.
One thing that's really cool about the farmers market is really regardless of how many sales you do, one way you're going to win is by building relationships, social capital. That's one advantage of coming in with a farmers market or starting with a farmers market. One thing I hear from a lot of farmers is it's a great way to get connected with people. Unless you're well established in a region, starting with the CSA may be difficult if you don't know a lot of people. You can get to know a lot of people and build a loyal customer base by starting here at the farmers market. And one thing that Darby actually did that shows the value of that social capital is he just made a sale without actually making a sale here. One of his longer time customers came up, they had a conversation, the customer said, "Hey, do you have any turkeys left to sell this year?" Darby replied, "Yeah, I have 30. He said, "Okay, I'll walk home, I'll email you an order, and we'll be good to go." So we don't know if he's actually going to do it, but let's assume he does it. It's a sale today that came out of this farmer's market, and it came out of all the past farmers markets and the social capital that's been built at them. So you can't just look at these in terms of sales dollars. I mean, it's obviously important, but there's other things you're going to gain out of this. Learning your market, building relationships, finding out who your competitors are, finding out different ways to describe and market your product. Big advantages, all beyond just the sale.
This is like 2 1/3, is that okay? Look all right?
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'm looking.
Down to ground beef there.
Livers and
Just a quick update here. It's 9:30. We've done about $216 so far today, which is a pretty good start to the day. Of course, that first sale of over $60 really helped a lot. So I think we're probably, hopefully, on track to hit our goal today. Like I said, once we get into September, particularly past Labor Day, all bets are off. The markets definitely start to dip down and slow down. We're out of beef, so not exactly sure what the day holds. Prior to this week, we've got really solid, consistent sales here, but not a bad start. I'm all out of steaks. Yeah, we're 100% grass-fed and finished, and like our steaks sell ridiculously fast. So I'll have more next month. Peak month, June, July. Yeah, probably if I had to guess, I'd probably say July. If I sit down at the end of the season and just look at like month by month sales. So if we were in the beginning of August and I went home having done $700, I'd be pretty, you know, pretty depressed. But if we do that much today, I think we're doing okay.
9:45, Darby's $216 in sales so far. It's an hour and 45 minutes into this market since it started. That means there's 2 hours and 15 minutes to go. This is only a 4-hour market. That's relatively short in market terms. So far so good. I think he's okay with this. Obviously it could be better, but it's also one of those times in the year where it slows down a lot, so you have to adjust expectations accordingly. But really the best part of the day is coming up. So for the next 2 hours, we'll see how it picks up and if it picks up.
Yeah. That ballpark mustard on those Polish brats is awesome.
10:30 a.m. in the morning right now. Darby's averaging about $27 per sale, and he's thinking that's a pretty good amount. That's a high dollar per transaction. What he's trying to do is keep those sales numbers up because he thinks volume of sales will be down today. On a good day, he might do 40 sales. Now, if you think about that, 40 sales for a meat vendor, that's not a lot when you think about some of these veg vendors who might do 150 different transactions in a day. There's a guy next to us, right at this booth here, and he's doing veg and he has a non-stop line. But you think about the purchases, his average sales transaction is a lot less than $27. It's probably around $7. So $7 versus $27 per sale, big difference. You don't need to do as many sales at $27 to get the same dollar amount out of it, but they're typically different sales processes, which I'll talk about a little later in the video. Stay tuned.
Thank you. Hey there.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Doing well.
What can we help you out with?
She doesn't?
Package of the Italian sausage, the sweet Italian sausage.
Okay.
Brown.
Yeah.
Meat is very different than veg when it comes to selling at the farmer's market for a few reasons. One, you have to think about how much is the product you're selling. A bunch of herbs might be $2. A bunch of herbs might be $2. A bunch of radishes might be $3. Darby's cheapest product is probably $9.99. So right there, you're already starting off different. I think people view meat differently, especially this type of meat that's being raised grass-fed more regeneratively. You're going to be above grocery store pricing on chicken. You're probably going to be on par on pork, and grass-fed beef, you may be a little higher. So you also have to face this price shock that a lot of customers think about. When it comes to transactions, given the fact that you're selling higher dollar product than a veg vendor, you're probably doing less transaction. You're probably also having to educate customers more, not just in terms of what is grass-fed or why grass-fed, but in terms of cuts. Some people don't know what a pork shoulder roast is versus spare ribs and why you would do one or the other. When it comes to veg, you don't have that problem. A carrot's a carrot, a radish is a radish. A 5-year-old knows that, a 55-year-old knows that, but when the meat comes into play, they don't. So there's a lot of time spent educating customers. That's one reason that you do fewer transactions, because you kind of have to walk the customer up a learning curve in terms of what is this product, what are we doing as a farm to enhance this product, or what standards are we using for the animals and the land. There's a lot of storytelling that goes into it when it comes to meat, and everything that you're selling is actually located in coolers like you see here, which is very differently than you see in the veg booths where they just have pile it high and watch it fly. When the customer can't actually see your product and all your product is held within a cooler, you take the visual component out of it and it becomes you, your signage, your booth, your presence, your mannerisms, your body language, and your story that makes the sale. You can't rely on the beauty of the product itself because they can't see it.
Hi there. Hi. Good. If you have any questions, just let us know.
When you're selling meat at the farmer's market, what type of questions do you commonly get? Well, there's a few. One is, your pigs are raised in the forest. What does that mean? Does that mean they're getting no grain? I mean, this is what people assume, so you have to do a good job of educating them. Yes, they get grain. You're not going to find a production model where pigs aren't fed grain. Homesteading scale, that works, but on a production level, there's nobody not feeding grain to pigs. People always ask about poultry. They're raised on pasture. Are they getting grain? Yes, they are. Poultry are very grain-centric on a production model. Again, homesteading model may be different, but a production model is one where there's going to be grain involved on pastured poultry. Grass-fed, that's another thing. I don't think consumers really understand grass-fed, grass-finished. What does it mean? 100% grass-fed. They don't know, so you got to do a lot of education. If you're somebody raising beef or grass-fed beef and you're 100% grass-fed and finished, you have to walk them through the process, meaning these cows get no grain, they get no corn along the way. They're raised on pasture the whole time. All they're eating is grass. And Darby's in the middle of a conversation right behind me right now where he's undergoing these types of questions. And this is why some sales can come slowly as a meat vendor if you're doing things regeneratively, is the public level of knowledge is probably here when your level of knowledge on this is way up here. So don't forget that you probably, if you're watching this or you're involved in this space, you have a high level of knowledge. A lot of the public is way down here. You have to help close that knowledge gap. That takes time, it takes patience, it takes dedication to do it. It's not going to happen right away, but slowly as public awareness and knowledge levels raise up, then it makes some of these sales easier. And sometimes you have to do that one at a time with customers and just bring them along. So selling meat at the farmer's market, again, not straightforward, very different than saying here's a carrot, it's organic or it's not. No education required there. Grass-fed, there's going to be education required there because people don't know what it means.
Hi. Do you have any jalapeno breads?
Yeah, Zach can get some for you. Just one package?
Yeah.
Okay. How can I help you?
I need a package of chorizo.
One package of chorizo. Is that all for you?
Yeah.
It's the home stretch now. It's 11:50 in the morning. The market closes in 10 minutes. It's been a fairly slow day for Darby. Normally he would have about 40 sales in a day. That's an average, think about that. So 40 sales on a day. Today there's only 31 so far, so a little slow. I think he's disappointed in terms of sales numbers. I don't know what the totals are. If I had to guess off the top of my head right now, it's probably about 500 bucks. Initially going into the day, he's thinking 8. So definitely slow. I think there's a couple of reasons people are speculating on that. Hearing some of the other vendors talk, there's some other festivals in town. It's also a little bit cooler out here than normal, so maybe people aren't coming out. But this is just one of the things when you're selling at market, you can't necessarily control how many people come to the market. You can help potentially move more sales through your presence in your booth while you're at the market and the customers you interact with, but people aren't coming to the market, you're out of luck, and so are a lot of the other vendors. Market's now officially closed, ended up around 35 sales, so definitely below average. We'll see what the numbers come out to, but all in all, it is what it is. Can't control it. Next step, pack it up, shut it down. So a day that began at 6 a.m., if you include the half hour from yesterday, it's now noon. Day's not over, so have to pack this up, drive it home, and then unload it. Then the farmer's market day's over. So not the shortest day, and you can't look at a market and just think, how long is the market? That's how long my day is. There's a lot of extra time that goes in there on both ends of that market, and that's where we're at now, starting to tear this booth down. $12:15, mostly packed up now, so quick 15-minute teardown, no issues there. But there is now 45-ish minute drive home. That puts us at 1 o'clock for the day that started again at 6 a.m. Total sales on the day, just under 35. That's an estimate. Total sales dollars on the day, about $675. So definitely under in terms of volume of transactions, and definitely under in terms of total dollars transactions. Just a slow day overall. The day's not over yet, it continues. Just back from the market. It's now Saturday afternoon. It's 1:40. By the time the truck's unloaded, it'll be 2 o'clock. So call it a full 8-hour day. 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. on a market day. Overall thoughts on the day. Well, number one, they're long days. And 6 a.m., you're up early, you're driving both ways. You have a long day of interacting with people and customers, which is actually pretty tiring, having these conversations with people. You're on your feet the whole time. If it's hot, it even wears you out more. And it's coming on Saturday after 5 days of what are probably long days. So you're already tired. So it's a full 6 day a week of farming activity here for Darby this time of the year, but then it does taper down come winter time. So there's a lot that goes into these markets. You have ups and downs though on those markets, good days and bad days. Today was kind of like a not so good day. As I discussed in the video, I mean, one negative of farmers markets is you can't really control the demand. You can do sales based on people there, but you can't do a whole lot to get people to come into the market. On the flip side, that's an advantage of farmers markets, is it's sending a bunch of buyers to you. If you're not at a market, it's up to you to go find all those customers. So farmers markets, they have their pluses and their minuses. Today was an inside view of what it's actually like to work a farmers market, showing you the prep, the working, the numbers, and the aftermath. And right now we're in the aftermath. We're all wiped out, all got up early, and we still have more to do on the farm because regardless of what day it is, the cattle don't need to stop moving on grass, the pigs still need to eat, and the chickens need to be moved in pasture, so work still needs to be done. Thanks for watching this one, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.